נשארו של המים ברח השמיים תפילת האדם הכל והים נשארו של המים ברח השמיים תפילת האדם. O God, my God, I pray that these things never end, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart. I would like to welcome all of you to Temple Isaiah this afternoon as we honor the singular life of Joshua Daniel Enden. I welcome Joshua's family, his father Jay, his mother Linda, brother David, sister Emily, wife Danielle, and partners, and all who mourn him. I'm Rabbi Joshua Gray, and I am honored and humbled to be even a small part of Joshua's life and life cycle. So I say Toda Rabbah, thank you, all of you, for allowing me to honor him today. I like to also begin by chanting the first two lines of the Shema prayer. This prayer reminds us of the unity of the world, the unity of all of us, no beginning and no end, only connections that make one. Let us join together for comfort and for strength as one in this moment. And as these words are chanted, let our individual and our collective memories and connections of and to Joshua bring his beautiful energy into this space with us as we honor and remember him. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is God, Adonai is one. Blessed Adonai's glorious name forever and ever. From Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adoni roi lo echsar, binot deshe yarbitzeni, alme menuchot yenahaleni, nafshi yeshovev yanacheni b'magle tzedek lema'an shemo, gam ki elech begeit salmavet, lo ira ra ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai, Deshanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yodafuni kol yamei chayai, v'shavti b'vet Adonai la'orech yamim. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in the right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. I now read a selection from Kohelet or Ecclesiastes. L'kol zaman ve'et, l'kol chafetz tachat hashamayim, et laledet ve'et lamut, et leta'at ve'et la'akol natua, et leharog ve'et lirpo, et lifrotz ve'et livnot, et livkot ve'et lishchok, et safod ve'et rakod, et lahashlich avanim ve'et kanos avanim, et lachavok ve'et lirchok mechabek, et levakesh ve'et l'abed, et lishmor ve'et lahashlich, et likroa ve'et litpor, et lachashot ve'et ledaber, et le'ehov ve'et lisno, et milchama ve'et shalom. There is a time for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for being born and a time for dying, a time for planting and a time for uprooting the planted, a time for destroying and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up, a time for weeping and a time for laughing, a time for wailing and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing and a time for refraining from embraces, a time for seeking and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for tearing and a time for sowing, a time for silence and a time for speaking, a time for loving and a time for healing and hating, a time for war and a time for peace. Today, we honor and remember Joshua, as we also remember death will come. We cannot enter in judgment with it. Our question, why, will always go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death and in the face of this question. We can, and we do, rob death of ultimate victory by living our lives, so that when death comes, it takes us from a world, one corner even of which is a little better because we were there. So it is with Joshua. We remember Joshua and we join our hearts together in a state of oneness to give comfort and to give strength to all who mourn him. This time of mourning, it is filled with so many variable emotions, bitter, sweet. We begin our service with these readings and prayers. We link the life of Joshua with the tradition of all people, the people of Israel and the eternity of God. We also link him with this congregation, his family's congregation, his home. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach Yehi Shem Adonai Mivarach. From Job we say God does give and God does take away. Blessed be the name of God anyway. Merritt Malloy wrote, "When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you with something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. As I read the words of Hannah Senesh, may we all reflect on the brightness that has been described to me, that shone outward from the very neshama, the deepest soul layer of Joshua. That radiance, that radiant light now guides our lives and will continue to guide our lives in ways that we have yet to understand. There are stars whose life reaches the earth only after they themselves have disintegrated and are no more. There are people whose scintillating memory lights the world after they have passed from it. These lights, which shine in the darkest night, are those which illumine for us the path. You who heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds, grant comfort and consolation to these mourners as they face their grief. Fill their lives with acts of loving kindness, gemilut chasadim, and truth, emet. These serve as the genuine memorial to our dear Joshua. The deep bond of love will remain forever unbroken. Again, I would like to thank so many of you who came to Temple Isaiah today to honor the life of the inimitable Joshua Enden, Joshua's loved ones, his wonderful family, and all who mourn. While Joshua's described to me his infectious smile, this was described, his beautiful and infectious smile, which was a beacon of light and joy in this world. And I just learned it had not one, but two dimples. He was a son, a brother, a friend. But he was described to me first and foremost as an amazing father. Joshua would move mountains for his son Logan. In Judaism, we often speak about the importance of legacy, lador vador, from generation to generation. The love that Joshua filled Logan, his own son, with will continue always to live on as a beautiful part of his link in an eternal, unbreakable chain. Joshua's love can truly never die. I also know that Joshua wanted people to love themselves. His dedication as a top personal trainer was his way of helping people improve their own perspective of themselves. As Joshua's namesake from the Torah was one of only a couple who could see the beauty in the promised land before ever entering, Joshua had this hope for those who crossed his path. He wanted people to look at themselves and see their true value. It was a gift of his. Our biblical Joshua eventually led the people of Israel over the Jordan River to the promised land. Let us allow Joshua's memory, his spirit of loving kindness, his devotion as a father, as a family member, as a son, as a sibling, as a husband, his radiant smile. Let us allow all of this to lead us all over our own proverbial rivers and to our own promised lands of comfort and of solace during these difficult times. Let him remain in our hearts, in our actions. To offer some words, I invite up to the bema Joshua's rabbi, his teacher, Rabbi Stephen Carroll.
I want to thank Rabbi Josh for inviting me to participate in this memorial service. For those of you who don't know, I was the Enden family's rabbi from July of 2002 to June of 2014. Unfortunately, I arrived here too late for David's bar mitzvah service, but I officiated at Josh's bar mitzvah service on March 20th, 2004, the Shabbat after Purim, which he shared with Daniel Bennett, and at Emily's bat mitzvah service on the first day of Sukkot, September 3rd, 2009. When I retired 9.5 years ago, I became Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Isaiah, following in the footsteps of my predecessor, Rabbi Adam Fisher. As I stand here today, I also represent my wife of 7+ years, known to many of you as Donna Ciani, who was the Temple's religious school music teacher for 20 years. Among her students were David, Joshua, and Emily. It is rare that a teacher or a parent or a grandparent attends the funeral or memorial service of a former student, a son or daughter, a grandson or a granddaughter. Some would say that it's unnatural, but no matter how rarely it occurs, it is one time too many, one person too many. If you combine my career at Temple Isaiah with the 25 years I served other congregations before I came here, it would total 47 years of conducting and attending funerals and memorial services. And occasions like these are few and far between. But the only important number today is one. One son, one brother, one husband, one father, one friend, one loved one Josh. He is not a mere statistic. He was a living, breathing human being, and now he is no longer with us. There are also other ones, other individuals, the ones who are mourners, the ones who grieve for him, his father, his mother, his wife, his son, every one of his friends, every one of his loved ones, every one of his teachers. My first message to those who mourn for Josh is this: you are not alone. Your relationship to him may have been unique and special for the two of you. How you react to his death may be your own, emotionally and psychologically. My advice to you is to seek commonality, to talk, to cry, to laugh, to be sad that he died, to be happy that he lived, to mourn for the love you will no longer be able to show him, to show the love for him that you are still able to show by honoring his life and his memory. On Friday, I conducted a funeral for an 84-year-old woman who stood on this bema for her grandson's bar mitzvah services twice within the last 10 years. Tomorrow, I will conduct a funeral for a 97-year-old woman, a Holocaust survivor by the name of Ruth Sender, who spoke to our 7th grade students in this sanctuary every year about her experiences, including David, Joshua, and Emily. The question, why did she have to die, did not, and I assume will not, come up at these funerals. But it is a legitimate question to ask when a 32-year-old dies. And I have answers to that question that are a part of my belief system. Since I don't know and don't want to know all the details, I would speculate this happened because his medical condition was so serious that his death could not be prevented. As a rabbi, though, I am a theologian and not a medical theorist. So here's what I believe. Josh didn't die because God wanted him to be in heaven. That is a selfish and mean God, and I refuse to believe that. Josh didn't die because it was his time. That seems to be so arbitrary and predetermined. And it portrays God as the judge and executioner. And I refuse to believe that. Josh didn't die so long because God wanted to teach the rest of us some kind of lesson. That goes to intent. And I don't believe that God cruelly uses people to teach other people a lesson. In fact, that would make God a pretty bad teacher. So I am comfortable with the belief that human beings are imperfect, that tragedies happen, that doctors and nurses can't save everyone, that death is a part of creation and of the universe whether we like it or not, that we can choose on our own to learn lessons and to behave in response to what happens. God can instead be a source of consolation, of comfort, of strength, of guidance, and of being there for us when we have just reached our limit. I find the why question to be frustrating, and in some cases pointless. Do we ever get the answer that we want? My second message is, don't ask why. Ask, what now? This is a question for each of us who mourns Josh's death and any death. It's the primary point of Rabbi Harold Kushner's book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. What do I do now? My answers are straightforward. The thoughts and actions may not always be easy, but they will be necessary. My advice is to honor Josh's memory in any way you can, every day you can. Do the good things that he would have done. Take the love that he would have shown and incorporate it in the love that you will show. cherish and be grateful for every day you have on this earth. Love each other, even when you disagree, even when you mourn in different ways, even when you think you just can't forgive. Count your blessings, including the fact that Josh was a part of your life. Ask questions, give answers, get angry, shout about what you will miss, be happy about what you didn't miss. Seek help, provide help, seek comfort, give comfort. Love yourself, love each other. Be sad about what you didn't do. Take absolutely no one and nothing for granted. That's my third message, the answer to now what? And I have one final fourth message. It's based on the Jewish belief that there is life after death. We would like to believe that it is better than life on earth, that it is a better place, a better existence, just as people of other religions believe. We call it the Olam Haba, the world to come. Through my own research and writing and changes in my beliefs, I have reached the conclusion that God has given us a blessing to experience here on earth, and this is it: the ability to feel the presence of our loved ones who have died. I firmly believe that this will happen for some of you with Josh, and I urge you to be receptive to it. That will only be second best to actually having him here with you, but it can be a source of great hope and comfort and inspiration. Josh's life was far too short, but my fourth message is this: we can pray that the memories of his life will be long and that they will always be for us a blessing. It's up to us, because we are the ones who can and should make that happen, with God's help and with the help of others.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Carroll. To offer words, I would like to invite up Josh's dad, Jay.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Rabbi Carroll and Rabbi Josh for offering the most beautiful words and the most amazing spiritual guidance at this time, that we truly need it and seek it. And then I'd like to thank everyone here, those who are here now physically, and those who are now here virtually with us, and those who have reached out over the past days to provide us with the beautiful love and kindness and support of family, friends, and community. We have so deeply needed what you've given us during this very sad time. You've truly helped us breathe. And so many times during this process, that was our goal, to just take our next breath. It is a challenging day indeed for us when we have to try to balance the so very somber reality of our tragic loss with this celebration of what we had and what we still have. There's so much I want to say about Joshua, but I will never feel like I've really said enough. What I know is that there will be some beautiful words to come. Those will be delivered by his brother and his sister. So I need to be brief, and as my former executive director told me, then be gone. I keep vacillating really from having no words to having to dig through an avalanche of words to try to find the right ones. But, you know, I came upon one word that I'm going to focus on today, and that's luminosity. It's a measure of how brightly something can shine. And Joshua had a luminous smile through which the beauty of the luminosity of his soft, kind, caring, gentle but giant heart was expressed. Joshua deeply valued when he could make people smile from their hearts, when he could make people proud of him. His luminosity was so immense when he would tell me, "Dad, I helped somebody today. Dad, I helped someone feel good about themselves. Dad, I helped someone get stronger when they felt weak. Dad, I helped someone do something they thought they could never do." And as was mentioned, he found this opportunity through personal training. This past year, I was actually a guest at a gym he was working at, and a woman came running up to me, very excited, and said, I heard you were Joshua Enden's father. Well, let me tell you something about your son. When I first came in here, I was so heavy, I had no confidence. I couldn't even get anything on any of these damn machines to move. And your son said to me, "Don't worry, I got you." He worked with me all the time. He spent extra hours at the gym with me. He pushed me, and he helped me. And she said to me, "Now look at me. I work out. I look good. I'm confident. And it's because of your son, and it's because he believed in me." I smiled and I looked across the gym, and I saw Joshua beaming with pride because he knew that we were talking about him, and he knew what she was saying, and he knew that that moment was meaningful for all three of us. That luminosity of his, it was so immense when he spoke of the love he shared with Lexi and then with Danielle. His luminosity was immense when he spoke of his love for friends and for family. But he was never more luminous and more grounded than when he was with his son, Logan. From birth, Logan gave Josh a meaning and a satisfaction that embodied really the purest joy of fatherhood. The bond they shared was one of the most miraculous gifts I've ever seen, the father and the son so deeply connected. What we all ask and what we want is simply that we help Logan forever remember Joshua for his luminosity. The luminosity powered by pure kindness and love, for his joy of making people happier with themselves, and for his magnificent love for his son and others. We ask that this beautiful legacy of love be a beacon of strength, guidance, and pride for Logan forever as he learns what it means to be, like his father, a great man. Thank you. And I'll leave the space for my son, David.
Sure. All right. David said I go first. Thank you all for coming. It's lovely to look out at a full synagogue today. My brother Joshua used to refer to himself as the pretty sibling. And although I would often argue back, I will admit, like several people have, he did have the best smile in the family. And you all know one look at the dimples, and you can't help but smile too. And he knew how to use that to his advantage, much to the dismay of those of us who knew him best. I will remember Joshua's contagious smile, and I hope you do too. Josh had the incredible ability to bring a light to the darkest of rooms and a giggle to the most silent of places. I'm proud to say that I learned that from him. Josh taught me how to be resilient. He helped me unlock my creative potential and taught me to view the world through the eyes of an artist. He taught me how to protect myself and my pack, and he taught me how to be goofy like nobody's watching. I spent my childhood looking up to my brothers, hoping that one day I'd turn out to be as cool and funny, as athletic and as talented as the dynamic duo. And with sudden tragedy, so many things are left unsaid, and yet I find myself consistently speechless. If I can say anything to Josh right now, I would want him to know that I've always been so proud to be his baby sister. Between English and Hebrew, the three of us were named after strength, honor, and courage. Joshua had this saying of the Roman gladiators tattooed on his forearm. Josh was a warrior, and I'm honored to have fought alongside of him and with him for 27 years. I love you 3,000, big brother. Love, Adam.
Thank you all for coming here today. I was just wondering why a baby Chili was shivering the other day. It was a little chilly, so. You know how you teach your kids about taxes, right? You eat 34% of their ice cream. And for my last one, I was going to tell you guys a time travel joke, but none of you guys liked it. We're gathered here today to celebrate Josh, who in classic rebel form insisted that his passing be a celebration of life rather than a focus on loss. This request by my brother describes his personality all too well. He was a person who sought to brighten up the world of others. So in honor of him, we'll all try our best to do that for him here today. Despite being shy at times, Josh would go out of his way to nurture conversations with strangers. He had a spiritual pull to find people that may have felt small or unseen and make them feel big, seen and heard. A gas station clerk, someone sitting on a bench by themselves, a lonely person in the corner at a party. He used humor to turn frowns upside down. If there was a conflict or negativity, Josh was always there for a comical punchline to settle back down the situation into love and into connection. He was a decorated personal trainer where he used this passion to make people see the best in themselves. He even preferred to work with those who were faced with more physical or mental limitations. In fact, just this fall, he was recognized as a top achiever nationwide in a tiny little company called LA Fitness. My brother grew up a wild child, always on the path of rebellion and marching to the beat of his own drum. He and I shared a collective experience as siblings, learning about the world together and learning what it meant to be alive. We thrived in our imaginations. Much of our relationship centered around play. We built epic battle scenes with our G.I. Joes that scaled our entire basement. We always found a way to create games, whether it was on a walk, in a car, or on those long lines at Disney. As we got older, we stole my parents' camcorder. For those of you that don't know what that is, it runs on tape. We stole my parents' camcorder to film our skateboarding tricks, pranks, our dares, and we would even act and direct our own comedy skits. Most of you knew Josh as the funny guy or the class clown, but I knew him as brother. I knew him for the more fragile parts, the weight he carried, his struggles, his depth, his compassion, and his vulnerability. And he was such a good listener. I would go to him for advice or just to have someone listen as I processed the world around me. Josh would just sit there absorbing all of what needed to be expressed, empathizing with every emotion, and usually would respond with a simple sentence of advice or a comical punchline as if to say, hey, your feelings are valid, but life is short, so smile. My brother also loved indigenous cultures growing up, and more recently showed a deep fondness and admiration for Vikings. We can see Josh and how he is represented and learn from some of his favorite quotes. Better to fight and fall than to live without hope. Stand by your own trail, not by what others say. Joshua loved Ragnar Lothbrok, the main character of the Vikings TV series. See, the show followed a man who lived life to the fullest, exploring foreign lands and cultures. It was about a king who marched to the beat of his own drum, regardless of what others thought or advised him. It is a story about a man who called himself Father, and whose mission was to create a better legacy for his children. If Josh could have identified his purpose, his title, his meaning, his mission, it was to his son. When Logan was born, the whole world witnessed my brother's transformation as he shined his bright light and picked up the title of Father. He embraced his duty and responsibility with every essence of who he was. It was something that he may not have been quite ready for. It was something that he had endless worries of. But despite his worries, my brother was strong and of good courage, and he kept moving forward. Josh's last social media post was a testament to his love and ownership of his duty as father. The post read, "Today was perfect. We didn't do anything big for Hanukkah. I bought him a big tent so that we could camp out, and we didn't do all too much. I'm not going to lie, I was stumped on what to get him because he has enough toys. He has a projector, his own Xbox, 76, very specific, 76 monster trucks, clothes, and Legos. So I said to him, hey, Logan, what do you want to pick out to get this year? Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. I'll get it for you." And you know what his response was? "All I want is you, Dad." Our family passed 3 children through this synagogue, and this is where we came after school to learn about our history and our culture, our relationships, and most importantly, about ourselves. Joshua's name comes from the stories of the Torah written in Exodus. The character Joshua stood for courage and accomplished so much for people despite being hidden behind the light of more prominent figures like Moses for a time. When Joshua was called upon to lead the Israelites, he experienced extreme doubt and did not feel good enough to lead his people. He questioned God about the task, and God said, "Be strong and of good courage, for I'm with you." Despite being paralyzed by the responsibilities of leading his people to Israel, and despite not having the answers, he was being counseled to have faith and to go forward anyways. Let's embody this teaching as we remember and honor my brother's life today. It teaches us to be strong and of courage, but not just any type of courage, of good courage. To be of good courage involves looking inwards into the strength of our inner self. It means doing the work that we need to do to balance compassion, passion, sacrifice, leadership, responsibility, and trust within. As you encounter your own doubts and challenges in life, remember my brother and his story. Be strong and of good courage, and rebelliously move forward with a sprinkle of humor. We honor my brother today for all the joy and the happiness that he brought to this world, for his courage, for his love, and for his humanity.
Thank you all so much for these beautiful words about Joshua. Really paint a picture of this beautiful, complex, multidimensional soul. So let us remember that spirit of simcha, of joy, as we keep in mind that people never truly die so long as we do remember. Perhaps we can let this knowledge guide us today and as we move forward in mourning. Although we have lost a world in losing Joshua, he has so clearly given so many so much in order to change worlds. May his story live on in all of our hearts, even as he moves on to his new beginning, as Rabbi Carroll alluded to Olam Haba, his world to come. He has completed his journey through the wilderness to the promised land, or as Torah says, Eretz Zavat Chalav Udavash, a land flowing with milk and honey. May he find comfort there. As I say, Zeker Tzadik Livracha, may his righteous memory forever be for a blessing. As we pray for the departed soul of Joshua today, we chant El Malei Rachamim, or God of abundant mercy. I ask you, if willing and able, to kindly rise at this time. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nichona, Tachat Kanfei HaShekhinah, B'malot Kedoshim U'Thorim, Kizohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Yehoshua Daniel ben Yaakov Elinda Shehalach La'olamo, Began Eden Tahei Manuchato, Ana Bara Rachamim, Yaztirehu Beseiter Kenafav L'Olamim, Vayitzror Bitzror HaChaim Et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, V'yanoach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. God of abundant mercy, God Most High, may the soul of our loved one, Joshua, who has gone into eternity, find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Joshua close to you forever, so that his soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May he find a home with you, and may he rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. If you are able to continue rising, and if you would like to follow along, you can take a Mishkan Tefillah, a prayer book, from in front of you. On page 598, we have the Mourner's Kaddish, or Kaddish Yatom. We ask God to grant our souls true connection, and may we feel divine love as we recite these words, hallowed by time, that sanctify the name of God, even in the face of grief and of despair and of sadness. We honor the memory of Joshua today as a link in the chain of Jewish memory. As we join together in saying, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, Bechai echon uviyom echon uvechaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh. V'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudasha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May his righteous memory forever be for blessing. May we remember him, and may the greatest pieces of who he was become some of the greatest pieces of who we are and who we will become. We always remember Joshua Enden as we say amen. You may be seated at this time. In closing, the psalmist has written, "Weeping may tarry into the night, but joy comes in the morning. El Malei Rachamim, O God, full of compassion, please send your comfort to those who grieve. Help them dispel the sadness that accompanies this pain of loss, and to find moments of joy in the precious memories of Joshua. May your love inspire them to focus on the love they have for Joshua and that Joshua had for them. Help them to face the future with courage, to treasure Joshua's legacy. Sustain us in our faith, O God, even in this troubling time, as you have sustained our people in times of trouble and sorrow throughout the generations. Blessed are you, Adonai, who provides comfort to the brokenhearted. And may our service of memory for Joshua bring comfort. May it bring strength. May the Holy One of blessing, from whom all things come and to whom all things return, give us light and peace on this day of grief and mourning. As we were all born of the earth, ha'adamah, may our beloved return to his earth joyfully, free from pain. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch she'or avei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Please live on, with Joshua being a part of who we are and who we will be. May we all walk forth in his memory now, in peace, l'chaim, to life. I ask on your way to the social hall that we do allow our mourners to exit first and then follow behind. I thank you for attending. May you all be comforted during this difficult time as we remember Joshua Daniel Enden. Attention, once you have been through the line, please feel free to grab a plate and fill the tables so we can move into the social hall. Feel free to grab a plate and fill the tables. Thank you all so much for coming.